the game of the day in terms of ranked matchups is where game day went. USC goes to Oregon, puts up a good fight, but unfortunately they just can't really slow down the Oregon rushing attack, which was phenomenal all day. And Oregon wins 42-27. Y'all's thoughts on this game?
I picked USC to win the game, so I apologize for being wrong. They made a very early statement. They win the toss, they take the ball, and they go score on the backs of their big-time receivers in Jacoby Lane and Mekhi Lemon.
Yeah.
Drive right down the field. It is 7-0 immediately in Eugene, and it's potentially possible, and this is all happening as I am on one knee here in Starkville. That being said, this was a prototypical Lincoln Riley loss against a big team. The offense was ready, but the defense was not. Their defense, 15 missed tackles, the highest mark of the season, were on the field for 74 snaps, in large part not because the offense for USC was bad, but because they would give up 4 yards and then 5 yards and then a 3rd and 1 conversion. That was the most they had this season in Big Ten play. The only other team to have more snaps against that USC defense was GATA, Georgia Southern. Put them in the playoff consideration. Oregon was 7 for 12 on 3rd down. They were unstoppable for the most part. They had led the country coming into the game in the Power 4, at least in yards per carry. They have 4.4 per rush, and they win the turnover battle 2-1. Offense was ready, defense was not. And it just feels like another prototypical USC loss where you're looking when you get into the second half and they have gone down and they scored to put it within 7 or to put it within 6. And then you just like, all right, defense get one stop, and then they just drove right back down the field, scored a touchdown.
And it's not even a thing, and you can correct me if I'm putting words in your mouth, but like, it's not like the defense wasn't ready for the game. The defensive unit on this team is not ready for the big time.
Sure.
Like, this is a common theme with the USC defense. There's no, we'll get them next week. Like, the unit's ready. They still need more talent. They still have to up their physicality.
But that's
they got to get in the
always
weight
been
room more.
Lincoln Riley coach
Correct.
defenses, though.
Which the gap is closing.
Yeah, they have gotten better.
It's gotten better, but they're not there yet. Still, I thought Dante Moore had a great game. I thought Kenyon Sadiq coming back was huge.
Mm-hmm.
In particular, the seam shot to Kenyon Sadiq on the touchdown where he splits the 2 defenders, throws a rope. I thought that was one of the best throws of the season.
Sure.
That's one that when he gets drafted, that'll get played in the B-roll that gets played because that was a phenomenal throw. Showcased what they can do through the air. But yeah, they just got what they wanted offensively. USC just couldn't hang.
I think you can argue USC is getting closer, but I only think you can argue that when they are playing teams that aren't playoff caliber. Like, I think they have gotten better defensively when they go out and play Nebraska, who, if I'm not mistaken, they held to 17 points.
Yeah.
They aren't there when they go and play in the playoff, like when they had to play Bama, when it was Bama OU in Miami and Tua tore them apart. And then in this one, when it's Oregon on the road in Oregon, Oregon has 42 points. They score 6 touchdown drives. The defense gives up 179 yards on the ground and 257 through the air. They got whatever they wanted. They are improving, and I want to give them credit for that. But it's a missed opportunity, and the game completely flipped when Malik Benson takes the punt return for a touchdown. USC is then driving. They throw a pick.
Do we think Sanders knows who Malik Benson is now?
I'd hope so.
Yeah.
Cool. I just can't believe he's hating on a long neck dong boy like that. I mean, that's insane.
Yes.
You got to respect my fantasy
second on the team
man.
in receiving yards with one less than 68, and then of course the punt return for a touchdown. After getting up 2 scores, USC never had a drive to go tie or take the lead for the rest of the game. That's after Oregon got up 2 scores. Again, on the defense, I don't think you can make the argument for this game because USC was hobbled. USC's without DeCorian Moore. They are without Evan Stewart.
Oregon's hobbled.
Oregon was hobbled. They were without DeCorian Moore, and they were out with Evan Stewart. Kenyon Sadiq returning was a huge part to that. They lose Isaiah World, their left tackle in this game. They were hobbled, and it didn't matter. They were able to do what they want, and it speaks a large part in the culture that they have
Yeah.
with the best teams, it's just almost always the case of, well, it doesn't matter who comes into the game; they're just gonna continue to put up numbers like that.
Yeah.
Because that's who
That's who
it's
they
not.
are.
You lost Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. It's over. No, you lost a Buckeye and a Buckeye, and now 2 more Buckeyes come
Yep.
in. And Julian saying in Ohio State, don't miss a beat. And the same thing happens here for
Sure.
Oregon and Dan Lanning's Ducks.
Yeah. I completely agree. And talking about the defense not being up to snuff, I feel like the key moment of the game, I mean, the punt return was huge.
Yes.
But also when Maava throws his first interception, when they're down 7, and it's like, with the way the defense was playing, you couldn't afford that. You had to keep pace, and now because of the interception, they go and score, and suddenly you're down 2 scores, and you're not keeping pace anymore. You're having to play true catch up.
Look, the pick hurts a ton. It was overthrown. It was in the triple coverage. I'm sure he would get flack for that and has gotten flack for that. But he had been making that throw, and he continued to make that kind of throw all day.
He had a good day. I'm not like trying to dog on him and be like, you lost your team the game, because he didn't.
And
But
specifically, they were making a lot of work with 50-50 balls.
Yeah.
They were giving their receivers chances.
which you have to.
And that was another one of them. So it's just one of those 50-50 balls that doesn't go your way because Maava overthrows it. And then on the other one, he's just beat by the DB on a 4th and 10. It's unbelievable coaching in that spot because on 4th and 10, they're running routes to get just to the sticks and then catch the ball. And so if you as a DB know where the sticks are, and as soon as you see where the sticks are, you're able to cut immediately onto the ball, and he ends up picking Maava.
Yeah.
One of the biggest keys I talked about coming into the game was 4th down, and I thought USC had a tremendous advantage there in this game. USC's just 2 for 4 on 4th down. They only attempted 2 4th downs before that final drive where they end up attempting 2, and Maava hits an incredible play to Jacoby Lane, who makes a big catch that extended the game. They weren't as aggressive as I thought they were going to be, but they weren't in a lot of favorable 4th down positions, and that's, again, a testament and a credit to that Oregon defense. They end up winning the turnover battle when USC's been better in the turnover battle all season, and you're never going to win a game when you rush for 52 yards and the opposing team runs for 180. You're never going to win a game when you lose a turnover battle to the other team. It's just another missed opportunity for USC. I don't think it's time to panic on Lincoln Riley and them. Give them one more season.
That's
I guess.
that's exactly
Well, I mean, we're talking
where I
about
was
the
going to
recruiting
go with
class
this.
a ton, and I'll let you take over.
I had the recruiting class pulled up because in our season preview, I specifically remember the video title because I feel like I kind of cooked with it. It was, does Lincoln Riley use the season to buy himself time till reinforcements arrive? In 2026, so this upcoming class, they currently have, or they will have, the number 1 class in the country. They've got a 5-star, a bunch of 4 stars, and some 3 stars, and it's just a really good class coming in to USC. But is next year he has to what is next year the prove it year? Because he's kind of had some James Franklin and Eli Drinkowitz to his game, inability to win the big games. Is not able to make the playoffs with Caleb Williams. I think they go 11-3 that year. This year they lose a game to Illinois, they lose to Oregon, they lose to Notre Dame. So all 3 of their biggest games, their biggest opportunities to go get a win and really prove themselves as a top 15 team, they lose all 3 of those games. Last year I think they went 7-5 and maybe finished 7-6 with a bowl loss. So a down year last year.
It was all the 1-score losses.
Yeah. Potential some panic
Squanders.
button pressing this year. You're 8-2, or just were 8-2 with a chance to win this game.
You're one
a chance
game away
to compete
from the
for the Big Ten, a chance to compete for the playoff, and then you lose this game, just another loss. Is next year did this loss for Lincoln Riley really make next year go 10-2 or better kind of year?
No, because of the schedule. They play next year at Indiana. They play at Penn State. They host Ohio State. They host Oregon. They host Washington. and they play Notre Dame. That's 6 of your 12 games are teams that are essentially Penn State. We think is going to be better next year. We'd hope. I hope, but that's 5 games at least, or I should say 4 games for sure against pretty likely playoff teams this year, and Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon, and Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And then Washington
Yeah.
and Penn State are not going to be pushovers next year. So, no. But I do think you have to win half of those games.
Sure.
I think you have
So
to
you
be
think
looking at 9-3 again. It depends on who starts at quarterback next year. Like, does Maeva leave for the draft, or is it Longstreet, their
Yeah.
true freshman, the 5-star who came in? I don't think it'll matter because Lincoln Riley at quarterback play has never mattered.
Yeah.
He's worked with anybody. But I do think you're just going to have to be more competitive. Like the Ohio State game and the Oregon game at home, both those games, and even the Notre Dame one, are critical. I think you got to go 2-1 at home.
Yeah.
And then I think you got to win one of those games on the road at Indiana or at Penn State. I wouldn't argue that it is a make or break year just because of the schedule, and boosters, fans are going to look at that schedule and understand that. At the same time, though, it is what you signed up for joining the Big Ten, to have these more competitive games.
He'll still complain. He don't care about it.
Yes,
Yeah.
So
It's so hard having to travel to the East Coast and all that.
yeah,
it is.
It is crazy. That's
tried
where
to
most
tell
of
you.
the Big Ten teams are
Yeah.
is on,
And they will
is
have
on
to
the
go.
East Coast.
They're going to have to go to Wisconsin, to Rutgers, to Penn State, and to Indiana.
so some long trips.
4 long East road
So
trips.
worst case scenario is they go like 1-3 in those 4 tough games,
They could miss,
and then
a
they
bowl
end
game.
up dropping like a Wisconsin game or a Rutgers game because apparently
Or you
Lincoln
lose to
Riley,
Washington
Yeah, or I'm saying, and then you also drop a Washington or like
They
there's
could miss a bowl game.
Yeah, like you end up going 5-7 or
Yeah.
6-6.
That being said,
Barring, go ahead.
they could be 9-3 and have a playoff resume and have an argument
Yeah.
like Texas might have this year.
Correct. And I will say, I don't know if they will be logical, but barring disaster, we're talking about this recruiting class they're bringing in, like, being reason to buy him more time, and like, oh, this could be the class that turns it around. Realistically, if you're really going to buy into that, you got to let them become at least sophomores before
Yeah,
you really
sure.
reap the benefits. If you're really going to, buy into that logic of, we want to wait and see what happens with this class, firing them after they're freshmen doesn't really give them a fair shake of
Yeah.
being this class that turns it around. So, we'll see. Shall we get on to our last game?
They don't have to play Georgia Southern next year, so lucky there.
Yeah.
That's truly dodging a bullet.